Where is it? The woman's voice pierced through the golden stillness of the lobby. My diamond bracelet, it's gone. You were the only one here. Heads turned instantly. The air in the Grand Regent Hotel froze. Mrs. Evelyn Moreau, wrapped in silk, dripping with jewels, stood at the center of the marble floor, her fury echoing off the crystal chandeliers. Her diamond necklace glittered with every angry movement as she pointed at a young janitor across the room. Maya, a 20-year-old black girl with kind eyes and trembling hands, stood frozen, a cleaning cloth still in her grasp. Moments ago, she had been polishing the floor in peace. Now every gaze in the lobby was fixed on her. It had been one of those calm, golden mornings when the world outside seemed perfect. The marble floors of the Grand Regent Hotel gleamed under soft sunlight, and the scent of fresh lilies drifted through the air. Everything sparkled, from the chandeliers above to the diamonds on the wrists of its wealthiest guests. And in the middle of that glittering perfection worked Maya, young, diligent, and gentle. She had only been at the hotel for 6 months, but everyone knew her for her warmth and her quiet grace. Now, all of that seemed to vanish under the weight of Evelyn's voice. Of course it was you, Evelyn snapped. Who else could have taken it? The concierge rushed forward, flustered. Madam, please, maybe it's simply misplaced. Misplaced? Evelyn cut him off. This bracelet cost more than her life savings. Her words struck like a whip. Maya's lips parted in disbelief. Ma'am, I didn't take anything. I swear I didn't. Don't lie to me. Evelyn's voice rose again, trembling with outrage. You were right here. You must have seen it, or taken it. A couple sitting nearby exchanged uncomfortable glances. No one moved. No one dared defend the girl. Maya's heart pounded. Please, ma'am, she said softly, her voice breaking. I can help you find it, maybe. Help me find it? Evelyn scoffed. How thoughtful. Perhaps you hid it first. The lobby fell silent. Even the sound of the fountain seemed to fade. Her next words came like venom. Do you even know what that bracelet is worth? More than you'll ever earn in your life. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to look away. I didn't do anything wrong. Evelyn stepped closer, her perfume sharp and suffocating. Then prove it. Tell me where it is. The concierge tried to speak again, but Evelyn snapped, Call the manager and the police. Don't let her move. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Guests began recording quietly with their phones. Maya stood motionless, her world collapsing in silence. She wanted to disappear, to sink into the marble she had just cleaned. But she stood there instead, trembling, humiliated, waiting for someone, anyone, to believe her. The golden light that once made the lobby shimmer now felt cold and cruel, and in that cruel light, a young girl's dignity was put on trial before the entire world. The lobby had gone quiet, heavy with tension. Only the soft ticking of the grand clock above the reception desk filled the silence. Maya stood still where she had been told to stand, hands clasped in front of her, eyes fixed on the polished floor she had cleaned hours earlier. The gold light that had once made the marble shimmer now seemed to mock her. She was young, a black woman barely in her 20s, her uniform crisp, her posture careful, trying to appear invisible in a room that refused to see her. Then the elevator doors slid open with a calm ding. Every head turned. From inside stepped the hotel manager, tall, composed, his suit perfectly pressed, his expression unreadable. His name was Jordan Brooks. He walked with quiet authority, the kind that didn't need to be announced. His presence alone seemed to steady the room. The staff straightened immediately. Even Evelyn Moreau hesitated for a moment before regaining her posture. Good morning, he said evenly, his voice calm but commanding. I was told there's been an incident. Evelyn stepped forward, clutching her designer handbag dramatically. Incident? You mean theft, she declared. That girl, she pointed sharply toward Maya, stole my diamond bracelet. It's worth more than most people here make in a year. Jordan's gaze shifted toward Maya for a brief second, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. But he said nothing. His face remained professional, his tone measured. I see. And when did you last see the bracelet, Mrs. Moreau? This morning. I had it on when I came downstairs, then suddenly gone. And she was right there, she said, her words dripping with certainty. Jordan nodded slowly. All right, let's take this step by step. He turned to the concierge. Could you please pull the security footage from the lobby cameras between 8:12 and 9:00 a.m.? The concierge hurried off. Evelyn crossed her arms, muttering under her breath. As the staff moved, Jordan addressed her politely. Mrs. Moreau, I understand how distressing this must be. But before we make any assumptions, let's look at the facts. Facts? She scoffed. The fact is I'm missing my bracelet, and that girl is the only one who could have taken it. Jordan didn't respond. He simply gestured toward a chair. Please have a seat. Evelyn frowned but sat down, legs crossed, exuding impatience. Minutes later, the concierge returned with a tablet, playing the security footage. Everyone gathered around, staff, guests, even the security guard who had been pretending not to watch. On screen, time-stamped video showed the lobby earlier that morning. Evelyn walked through, waving to the concierge, her diamond bracelet glinting under the lights. A few minutes later, Maya appeared, quiet, methodical, mopping near the staircase. Then the camera showed Evelyn leaving the area for several minutes. Maya stayed behind, continuing to clean, never once approaching the place where Evelyn had been standing. Jordan watched the footage carefully, then rewound and played it again. Not once did Maya's hands leave her cleaning tools. He turned to Evelyn gently. Mrs. Moreau, as you can see, the footage doesn't show Miss Brooks. He caught himself. A pause. Miss Maya going anywhere near your belongings. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Then where is it? Jewelry doesn't just vanish. Jordan nodded thoughtfully. That's true. He looked at her directly now, not confrontationally but firmly. Do you recall where you were before you came down to the lobby this morning? She hesitated. In my suite, of course. And after that? I went to the pool for breakfast. Jordan's brow lifted slightly. The pool? Yes, she said defensively. For a moment, I set my bag down, but Her words trailed off. Everyone could see it, the realization dawning across her face. Jordan's tone remained calm, almost kind. Perhaps we should have security check the pool area, just in case. The security guard nodded and hurried off. The silence that followed was thick, uncomfortable. Evelyn stared at the marble floor, her cheeks losing color. Moments later, the guard returned, holding something small and glittering in his hand. The diamond bracelet. He approached Jordan and placed it in his palm. Jordan examined it briefly, then turned to Evelyn. Is this the item, Mrs. Moreau? She blinked, lips parting slightly. Yes, that's mine. A quiet gasp rippled through the lobby. Guests exchanged looks. One woman whispered, So the girl didn't take it? Jordan handed the bracelet back with polite precision. It appears it was found by the pool chair, where you left your bag this morning. Evelyn opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her fingers trembled as she took the bracelet, eyes darting toward Maya, who still stood in silence, her hands clasped, eyes downcast. Jordan looked between them, the powerful guest and the quiet young black woman who had endured public shame. His expression didn't change, but his next words carried a weight that filled the room. Sometimes, he said softly, the things we lose aren't taken from us. We simply forget where we left them. For a moment, no one moved. Even Evelyn's breathing seemed to stop. Jordan turned toward Maya. Thank you for your patience, he said gently. You may return to your duties. Maya nodded slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, sir. But when she lifted her eyes, just for a second, their gazes met. A quiet understanding passed between them. She knew. He knew. He was her brother. Though no one else in that lobby had the faintest idea. And in that moment she understood why he had stayed so composed, why he hadn't rushed to defend her. Because the truth spoken calmly carried more power than anger ever could. The lobby remained still. The golden light returned, softer now, almost forgiving. Evelyn sat frozen, bracelet clutched in her hand, unable to meet anyone's eyes. And Maya, the young black woman who had begun her morning in humiliation, finally exhaled. For the first time that day, she allowed herself to breathe. The lobby remained frozen in a silence that seemed to stretch forever. Evelyn Moreau still stood there, pale, clutching the diamond bracelet that moments ago had nearly destroyed an innocent life. Around her, the soft murmurs of the guests carried judgment sharper than any word Jordan could have spoken. The young black janitor, Maya, stood motionless near the marble pillar, not triumphant, not angry, just still. Her eyes glistened, but her posture remained composed, graceful even in exhaustion. Jordan, the tall, composed black manager, straightened his tie and spoke, his voice calm, deep, and unwavering. "Mrs. Moreau," he said, his tone steady, each word deliberate. "At the Grand Regent, we value more than appearances. We value truth and respect." Evelyn looked up sharply, defensive, her pride flickering like a dying flame. I made a mistake," she stammered, forcing a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Surely this misunderstanding—" Jordan raised a hand gently, silencing her without hostility. "A misunderstanding can be forgiven," he said softly. "But humiliation, spoken in front of others, leaves a mark that no apology can erase." His gaze swept across the lobby, meeting the eyes of every witness, the concierge, the doorman, the guests who had whispered behind their phones. "In our hotel," he continued, "we respect every person who walks through these doors, whether they wear diamonds or a uniform." The words hung in the air like something sacred. Maya's breath trembled. She lowered her eyes again, her throat tightening. Jordan turned back to Evelyn, his tone still calm, almost too calm. "Mrs. Moreau, for the dignity of my staff, and for the integrity of this establishment, I must ask you to gather your belongings and check out today." A collective gasp moved through the lobby. Evelyn blinked, stunned. "You can't be serious," she said. "Do you know who I am?" Jordan's expression didn't waver. "Yes," he replied, "and that's exactly why this matters." For the first time, she seemed to realize she was alone. The same guests who had once smiled at her now looked away. The concierge kept his eyes down. Even the bellboy, barely 16, stood frozen, lips pressed tight. Evelyn's voice cracked. "This is absurd. You'll regret this." Jordan shook his head slightly. "No, Mrs. Moreau. Regret comes from silence and from standing by while someone is wronged. I won't carry that regret." She opened her mouth again, but the words failed her. The room was no longer hers to command. Her jewels seemed to lose their shine under the heavy stillness of the moment. After a long pause, she turned and began to walk toward the door. Each step echoed against the marble like a fading memory of power. No one followed her. No one stopped her. The grand doors closed softly behind her, and with them, the tension in the room seemed to dissolve. Jordan exhaled slowly, as if releasing the weight of everything unspoken. He turned toward Maya. She stood where she had before, small but unbroken. Her eyes shimmered with quiet strength. He approached her, not as a manager, but as a brother. His voice dropped to a tone only she could hear. "You don't have to prove your worth to anyone," he said gently. "Truth does that for you." Maya's lips trembled into the smallest, most fragile smile. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded once, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder before stepping back. "Now go," he said softly. "Take a break. You've earned it." She hesitated, then nodded again. With slow, steady steps, Maya walked across the lobby, the same marble floor where she had been humiliated hours earlier. But now, each step felt lighter. Each breath felt freer. The morning light streamed through the tall glass windows once more, golden and pure, painting her silhouette in warmth. For a moment it seemed the hotel itself bowed its head in silent respect. Guests whispered softly. Not gossip now, but admiration. One woman near the desk murmured, "She held herself with more grace than any of us." Maya didn't turn. She didn't need to. As she disappeared down the hallway, her reflection flickered across the marble. Calm, strong, dignified. Jordan watched her go, his expression unreadable, though his eyes betrayed a quiet pride. Then he turned back to his staff. "Let's return to work," he said simply. "And let's remember, respect is not a luxury, it's a standard." The concierge nodded. The doorman straightened his shoulders. Even the air in the room felt lighter. Jordan stood for a moment longer, looking toward the doors where Evelyn had left. The sunlight gleamed faintly off the marble. Not from gold, not from diamonds, but from the way the light itself seemed to honor the truth. He adjusted his cufflinks and walked toward his office, his reflection passing over the floor she had just cleaned, spotless, unblemished, and pure. Outside, the world carried on. Cars honked in the distance. A bell chimed from the nearby cafe. The day looked as ordinary as ever, but something had shifted. In that single morning, a lesson had been carved into the heart of everyone who had witnessed it. That true worth isn't measured in wealth. That power without kindness is just noise, and that the quiet dignity of one young black woman had silenced arrogance more effectively than anger ever could. Later that afternoon, as Maya walked down the corridor toward the service elevator, a soft beam of sunlight fell across her face. Her reflection in the polished brass doors looked back at her. Tired, yes, but peaceful. She smiled faintly to herself. And then, as the elevator doors closed, her voice, and soft and steady, echoed in her thoughts. Sometimes, the cleanest thing in a room isn't the marble, it's the truth. The screen fades to gold, and the voiceover concludes, gentle but firm, resonating like the moral of an old story reborn. Sometimes the purest souls shine without needing to sparkle, because true elegance lives not in what you wear, but in who you are. And those who glitter the loudest are not always the ones who truly shine.